Meanwhile, we'll talk to Nick Westbrook Ikhine, who's on the phone with us now. The pride of Indiana football, the pride of Bloomington, Indiana, my alma mater. Lucas is back there shaking his head at me. What's happening, Nick?
How's it going? I'm doing well. How are y'all?
We're doing good. We're doing good. I was Lucas has been trying to kind of smoke me out as a fake Indiana football fan. Basically since we started the radio show 3 years ago, and I think he's going to have you decide whether I get to still call myself an Indiana fan by the end of the segment.
I can be the judge of that.
Perfect. I just don't think that Buck should have the luxury of aligning himself with you in that way, Nick. When Buck can't name a single player on the Indiana football roster, he's admitted to being a Notre Dame fan, which was news to me until recently. So I just think that this is very convenient for Buck to try and align with you and get on your side of things as fellow Hoosiers, where I truly don't think Buck has any business claiming he's an Indiana football fan.
He's basically calling me a kiss-ass, Nick, is what he's doing.
Yeah, that could be some brown nosing going on there, but we'll see.
No. But we're bonding on the sideline over Kilroy's breadsticks or the idea of Kilroy's breadsticks. There are Hoosier ties here to be had beyond, my negligence of the football team during my time there. I graduated in 2015, Nick, so we didn't cross paths, but there was when you were at Indiana playing for the Hoosiers, you played for Tom Allen, correct?
Correct.
And so what was the environment like with him? Because we all know him to be a good coach. He's an incredible personality, obviously, and Indiana as a football program in the Big Ten, tends to struggle against some of the higher level of competition. It's Michigan week, and that'll be an interesting result this week. But what was the experience like for you?
Yeah, it was good for me. Coach Allen was a fiery personality. I feel like people see that. The biggest thing is you just knew he really cared a lot about that opportunity to have the opportunity that he has as a head coach in his home state. He just really cared a lot. There was a lot of emotion that he showed from the day one when he showed up as a defensive coordinator. You could tell he cared about it. So I know when I was there, and then still now, he's putting his all in everything because he really cares a lot being a hometown guy.
And, Nick, you were there the lone year that Kalen DeBoer was calling plays on offense. Has it surprised you at all, the crazy amount of success that he's having at Washington with Michael Penix?
No, not at all. I mean, both of them obviously are really a great coach and a great player. He came in one year and kind of flipped our offense around and made us, be able to have a chance at winning games and had, one of our best seasons while I was there. So I saw that transformation just in 1 year with us. So when he went over to UW, it wasn't really a surprise to me because I was in it, and he's really good at drawing up plays and making the most of the guys that he's had.
I mean, Penix, though, going to Washington and having the success that he's had, I don't know how much college football you're getting to watch on Saturdays, Nick, between travel and prep and things like that, but he's very much in the conversation, if not the best quarterback in college football this year.
Oh yeah, I love all the Heisman hype. It's awesome. It's awesome seeing him because he showed that talent when I was there. It was obviously he had injuries and stuff like that, and that's tough, especially playing in the Big Ten, where you're playing against big dudes, big D linemen, and there was a little bit of a gap there for us. So he was getting hit a lot, and so now he's in a spot where he can stay protected, and he has the time and opportunity to deliver the ball, and he throws a really good deep ball. Just really good ball overall. So it's awesome seeing him have that success now.
Titans wide receiver Nick Westbrook Ikhine is our guest here on 104.5 The Zone. He's about to head out to practice as they get ready for the Ravens in London this weekend. Your journey from Indiana to the pros, honestly, and again, we can be accused of brown nosing, but I've talked about this before, Nick. It is so impressive what you have done to this point in your career, given the starting point, and now how much of a factor you are for this offense, in really in the last couple of years. What I guess was the factor that contributed most to the amount of success that you've been able to have, and the way that you've found ways to prolong your NFL career far further than a lot of UDFAs can say that they have?
I'd probably say that the biggest thing is just being prepared and being able to know all the different spots. I feel like that's put me in a position to allow my talent to be able to show up when I have the opportunity to. But really, it's been a blessing this whole time. I still pinch myself sometimes because I recognize, it wasn't the easiest route and it wasn't really the expected route. But I'm just blessed to still be a part of this organization and try to contribute and play my part in making us successful.
Your rookie camp was COVID camp, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a weird year. We had training camp. We had no preseason games. We just jumped right into it, training camp to the season.
And so, I mean, that was the only, first NFL rookie experience that so it would be difficult for, I guess, you to compare it to somebody else's, given that was your experience. But what was like when you're figuring out that you're going to make the 53-man roster, what was that experience like for you? I imagine you guys were doing a lot of stuff virtually still.
Yeah, it was a lot of virtual stuff. I remember OTAs were virtual. I actually got cut after the cut day, and then got elevated for the first week, and then after that signed to the 53. And it was all it was a different experience. I feel like you didn't really get to hang out with teammates a bunch outside of the facility. So it was a lot of me on my own with me and my now wife, and just kind of just playing football and going home and trying to study football, and that was really about it. But now it's been awesome being able to get to know guys, and I think that's been a huge part of being able to learn from guys year 2, year 3, that I didn't really get as much, outside of the facility my first year.
How much more do you maybe, I don't know if you emphasize it anymore because that was not the experience that you got to have, but how important is that to you to kind of connect with dudes in that way? And of course that's important on any team, but given the fact that was absent in your rookie experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably one of the biggest things about, this job is being able to learn from the guys around you, being able to, learn from the dudes that have been doing it for a while, the vets that have been successful for a long time, being able to study their habits, but then also just get to know them around the locker room and just kind of how they operate. I feel like that was a big jump for me, after my first year, going into my second year, and actually being able to interact with dudes. And I think of a guy like, for me, Matthias Farley. He was just a huge person for me my second year, kind of like showing me the ropes, how to operate, how to take care of your body, and just how to be a pro in general.
Nick Westbrook Ikhine, kind enough to give us some of his time before he heads out on the practice field today. So big opportunity coming up in London. You weren't on the last trip. That one was certainly an experience back in 2018. What are you most looking forward to? What are you uncertain about? What is different, I guess, about this week for you besides the 8-hour plane ride?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's really the big difference is just it's a longer flight. You try to adjust your sleep schedule, but at the end of the day, it's still the same goal in mind. That's going out there to win a game. It's maybe a different environment. It's not going to be the same. The fans are probably going to be a little different. They're cheering for both sides. They're really just wanting to watch a good game. But I don't think really anything changes much, and I think that's what we got to do as a team, is just remember that the task at hand is to win the game. Yeah, we'll be in London, but that's just the site of it.
This is a rivalry that means a great deal to longtime Titans fans, and obviously that's felt like it's been renewed in the last couple of years with the great games that you guys have had going back and forth, and both of having had success in a limited sample size. But Titans fans hate the Baltimore Ravens. The players who, like Keith Bullock was on the radio show, Brad Hopkins going to be on tomorrow, guys that have been with this franchise for a long time, absolutely hate the Ravens. Is this a rivalry game to you guys in as much a way as I guess there are rivalries in the NFL?
I mean, it's tough for me, obviously, because I've only been here and I've only played them a few times. But I would say, yeah, I mean, just the way that both of these teams are, kind of the culture of them, hard-nosed, gritty football, I think that's kind of what both of these teams hang our hat on. So anytime you have two teams that have that, it's a contest. It's who's gonna be, play harder, who's gonna finish longer, who's gonna be more physical, and it's really just it's a it's a clash of egos in that sense, where it's two teams showing what their culture is, and whichever one is better will come out on top.
Did you have a job while you were on campus at Indiana while you were playing football? Did you work at all on the side?
One of my last summers, I actually I sold tickets for IU football games.
Okay. I worked in the ticketing department too, towards the end. I can't remember how exactly that ended. But my first job on campus was making sandwiches at the McNutt Dorm C-store, the convenience store there. Does that allow me, so you know immediately what I'm talking about, does that allow me to retain my status as a Hoosier?
Yeah, I think that detail does. I feel like that changes it, because that C-store, those things were money, and they were huge. As a student athlete who stayed at Briscoe, going to the C-store and getting those sandwiches were lifesavers.
Eat it, Lucas.
Buck, name 2 quarterbacks in the history of Indiana football. Go now. Go.
Michael Penix
and
Nate Sudfeld. Nate Sudfeld.
No, ran out of time.
To his defense, a lot of students that went there probably couldn't name 2 either. So
thank you. See, Nick understands. This is why we appreciate his time on the radio show. Continued health and success, buddy. I appreciate you stopping by.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's Nick Westbrook Ikhine with us on 104.5 The Zone. He understands. People, Lucas, you were so confused when you went with me out on a night where Indiana football played. What was that, last year in Indianapolis, Titans Colts? You went out with a bunch of my friends that had graduated from Indiana. Everybody got their Indiana gear on. Nobody wearing Notre Dame gear. Not a single soul wearing Indiana gear, paying any attention to Indiana. I think it was Indiana, Maryland that night.
No, it was Nebraska.
And
y'all lost to that Nebraska. I guess I just can't relate to it.
The football player.
The
football player just told you. There a lot of people on campus couldn't name quarterbacks. In my defense.
Truly, I just can't even wrap my head around that. Around your college experience not being completely centered around the football program.
Kevin Leonard says, Antoine Randall L. Did he play at Indiana?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Don't know. Nate, can you at least give me an Indiana head coach outside of Tom Allen in the history of Indiana football?
Oh, Lee Corso.
Yeah, I was going to say
Lee Corso. Because apparently, I don't know this, but apparently there's people at Indiana don't like Lee Corso because apparently he punted on 3rd down or something like that a couple of times. Like that's a thing that happened. I can neither confirm nor deny that, but that is the length of my Lee Corso knowledge. I can't even remember the name of the coach who was there while I was there. He was associated with Oklahoma. He got in trouble for having dudes play through concussions. I remember I think he got kind of run out of the job for Tom Allen at the time, because he was Tom Allen's Tom Allen was his defensive coordinator. I don't remember the dude's name.
Kevin Wilson.
Kevin Wilson. Yeah.
Kevin Wilson, who is currently the head coach at Tulsa.
Okay.
He's in his first year at Tulsa. He spent the last 5 years as the offensive coordinator at Ohio State.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he was the OC at Oklahoma, and then was head coach at Indiana for a few years before leaving for Ohio State.
Yeah, he was the head coach while I was there, and he got in trouble. That was
his best year at Indiana. Let's see, his 1-11, 4-8, 5-7, 4-8, 6-7, 6-6.
People are furious with me in the chat that I did not know Randall L. played for Indiana. Listen, guys, you could ask. I knew Matthias Farley went to Notre Dame. I said it to Lucas here when NWI brought him up. Notre Dame legend. I used to scream at my television watching Matthias Farley miss tackles. Drove me insane. I couldn't believe the dude had a nice pro career. I don't think he's still in the league, but he had a decent pro career. I was honestly surprised. Anyway. 615-737-1045 is the number. We will do the dumbest thing in sports this week. Bring your nominees. Coming up next.